recognized from his pictures Perry Bennett, the rising young corporation lawyer, a mighty good-looking fellow, with an affable, pleasing way about him, perhaps 35 years old or so, but already prominent and quite friendly with Dodge. On a table I saw a book, as though Elaine had cast it down when the lawyer arrived to call on the daughter under pretense of waiting for her father. Crumpled on the table was the Star. They had read the story. "Who is it, Jennings?" she asked. "A reporter, Miss Dodge," answered the butler, glancing superciliously back at me. "And you know how your father dislikes to see anyone here at the house," he added deferentially to her. I took in the situation at a glance. Bennett was trying not to look discourteous, but this was a call on Elaine, and it had been interrupted. I could expect no help from that quarter. Still, I fancied that Elaine was not averse to trying to pique her visitor, and determined at least to try it. "Miss Dodge," I pleaded, bowing as if I had known them all my life, "I've been trying to find your father all the evening. It's very important." She looked up at me, surprised, and in doubt whether to laugh or stamp her pretty little foot in indignation at my stupendous nerve. She laughed. "You are a very brave young man," she replied, with a roguish look at Bennett's discomfiture over the interruption of the tete-a-tete. There was a note of seriousness in it, too, that made me ask quickly, "Why?" The smile flitted from her face, and in its place came a frank, earnest expression which I later learned to like and respect very much. "My father has declared he will eat the very next reporter who tries to interview him here," she answered. I was about to prolong the waiting time by some jolly about such a stunning girl not having by any possibility such a cannibal of a parent, when the rattle of the changing gears of a car outside told of the approach of a limousine. The big front door opened, and Elaine flung herself in the arms of an elderly, stern-faced, gray-haired man. "Why, Dad," she cried, "where have you been? I missed you so much at dinner. I'll be so glad when this terrible business gets cleared up. Tell me, what is on your mind? What is it that worries you now?" I noticed then that Dodge seemed wrought up and a bit unnerved, for he sank rather heavily into a chair, brushed his face with his handkerchief, and breathed heavily. Elaine hovered over him solicitously, repeating her question. With a mighty effort he seemed to get himself together. He rose and turned to Bennett. "Perry," he exclaimed, "I've got the Clutching Hand." The two men stared at each other. "Yes," continued Dodge, "I've just found out how to trace it, and tomorrow I am going to set the alarms of the city at rest by exposing—" Just then Dodge caught sight of me. For the moment I thought perhaps he was going to fulfill his threat. "Who the devil? Why didn't you tell me a reporter was here? Jennings!" he sputtered indignantly, pointing toward the door. Argument, entreaty were of no avail. He stamped crustily into the library, taking Bennett with him, and leaving me with Elaine. Inside I could hear them talking, and managed to catch enough to piece together the story. I wanted to stay, but Elaine, smiling at my enthusiasm, shook her head and held out her hand in one of her frank, straight-arm handshakes. There was nothing to do but go. At least, I reflected, I had the greater part of the story. All except the one big thing, however, the name of the criminal. But Dodge would know him tomorrow. I hurried back to the Star to write my story in time to catch the last morning edition. Meanwhile, if I may anticipate my story, I must tell of what we later learned had happened to Dodge so completely to upset him. Ever since the Consolidated Mutual had been hit by the murders, he had had many lines out in the hope of enmeshing the perpetrator. That night, as I found out the next day, he had at last heard of a clue. One of the company's detectives had brought in a red-headed, lame, partly paralyzed crook who enjoyed the expressive moniker of Limpy Red. Limpy Red was a gunman of some renown, evil-faced and having nothing much to lose. Whoever the master criminal of the Clutching Hand might have been, he had seen fit to employ Limpy, but had not taken the precaution of getting rid of him soon enough when he was through. Wherefore Limpy had a grievance, and now descended under pressure to the low level of snitching to Dodge in his office. "No, Governor," the trembling wretch had said as he handed over a grimy envelope. "I ain't never seen his face. And here's directions how to find his hangout." As Limpy ambled out, he turned to Dodge, quivering at the enormity of his unpardonable